Hello from Houston. This is Roger D with Texas T, where I bring on entrepreneurs, hustlers, and prodigies of this great state of Texas. Today, I have an absolute gangster that was at the very beginning of the Texas electricity business-to-business sales game. He helped open 14 locations at the brokerage he worked for before. And he also wrote an absolute Bible, 350 pages of gold in a training manual that's still used today. And then after that, he decided to open his own broker named after the best coast, Third Coast, Steve Boucher.
Roger, thank you so much for having me, man.
Of course,
I appreciate
man.
it.
Of course,
what
man.
an intro.
Hey, man, for such a tall presence, when you came in, I did not realize you were going to be that tall, man. So that was a pleasant surprise.
You know, my wife says as I got older, I shrank.
Yeah?
I think at one point I used to be 6'2". The back starts to settle, so I wear the boots now. The boots give me an extra inch.
I got you. Now the boots make sense. Now, I was wondering why you were wearing the boots. I wasn't sure, but
yeah, you know, it's also after 20. I've been in Texas now since '93, and I just got into the boot game maybe 2 years, 3
the
years
boot
ago.
game.
The boot game. That's what I call it. It's
I'm
a
not
boot
even
game.
close. I'm still wearing skater shoes.
That's what normally.
Okay.
It's just old school Vans. There's
Yeah,
nothing wrong
yeah.
with it.
I'm not Vans, but I go with the Nikes. I got the Janowskis.
Janowskis. I actually just got some golf shoes. They're actually Janowskis.
Okay.
Skate shoes, but golf shoes.
That's I didn't really think that was a crossover, but that sounds
He
cool.
plays golf apparently.
Apparently, he's just trying to expand his line.
That's it.
All right, so for the listeners, real quick before we go deep into it,
Yes, sir.
for those that are listening right now, I'd have to say after discussing with you and from the legends I've heard, you're one of the biggest skills you have is taking individuals and getting them to look deep inside and bring out the real potential out of them. So if for someone's out there listening who's like, man, how do I manage my salespeople, my team, whatever it is better? How do I get them to find their biggest potential? What would be some quick advice?
The best advice that I can give you is before you can go on that journey with someone else, you gotta go on it for yourself.
Got you.
And you have to be, you gotta be super teachable. You gotta be a master student. I think the biggest thing is, this is a great book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0, and there's a ton of other self-help books, but I think in order to understand, to be able to, you gotta walk this path, right? And you have to be able to follow somebody first. So I think, one, you need a really good mentor, right? Someone that you trust, someone that you believe, someone that has some fruits that you can see.
Okay.
Someone that's done some things to where it makes sense, right? They're telling you these things, but you can see it, whether it's and how they treat other people, to maybe it's how they dress, maybe it's a combination of how they dress, what they drive, how they talk about their wife and their kids, or what it could be,
That's
anything, how
very
they talk
important.
about their business. Like, it's just, what are the things that you want to emulate, and what is it that someone has to where, like, I'd listen to him, I'd give him a shot, and in that journey, you got to really be vulnerable, and you got to really open yourself up, because I think that's when you really start to see that part of it. And yeah, I was fortunate to where I had a really good mentor for a long time. I mean, good 6, 7 years.
Got you.
And exposed a bunch. And in the midst of that, there was some crazy personal development that was happening. And my biggest joy was just, man, how do I share this with other people? Like,
Yeah.
how, like, everyone can do this.
Yeah.
And it became really exciting. You know, in the end, it's sure, we're in the energy business. You know, we talk about, signing contracts, this and that, and here's the price, and here's the kilowatts, blah, 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 blah. And we're shuffling paperwork at the end of the day. But truly empowering someone is, there's no other feeling like it. I mean.
Yeah. You were saying before that the sheer reaction of someone who you take and they make their first, like, 5-figure check was what really did it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, your presence is so big. I'm a big old baby, though. I am like the first person to cry.
Yeah.
Right. And I think some of that is just those emotions are what drive me. You know what I mean? And having someone that come in, whatever their background is, whatever their parents did or didn't do, and man, this person just trusts you and says, "Man, help me." And you're able to take that person who knew nothing about electricity, that came from a completely, entirely different field, and to show them a few things and to start to see that growth and to be able to pass them $5, $10, $15, $20,000 paycheck and just see what that does. It's just, that's what you do it for, right? I mean, money comes and goes, but helping people, teaching someone how to fish, right? Giving someone a fish is one thing, but teaching them how to fish is really cool.
Right. Yeah, seeing someone go from one situation to a completely different thing that enlightens their own life. Yeah, that's definitely amazing. I'm completely there with you, man. I actually have I have an agent that just started with us, and he's going to close a pretty decent sized deal, I think, tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then I've seen quite a difference from when he started to where he is now. Now he was definitely super ambitious from the start.
Right.
I knew how to talk, but man, it's really cool. It's
there's some characteristics that you can't help someone that doesn't want to be helped.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So like sometimes it's the right opportunity and the wrong timing. Sometimes it's the right timing but the wrong opportunity. But when those things sync up, right, it's like this magical journey. And how long can it go? For me it lasted a long time. And then I had my second journey, and that was an incredible ride. And now I'm like, all right, cool. I've been doing this since 2007. Like. Yeah. Well, what's this next decade about?
Yeah.
Right? This next decade is going to be one hell of a game changer. And I think there's a whole lot of stuff to talk about that's out there that are possibilities. But I've enjoyed it nonetheless, no matter what stage I've been at. It's been fun. But, yeah, working with people is probably the thing that gets me going the most.
Yeah. Same. So you started, you said 2007 is when you started.
2007.
So lead us down that journey a little bit. Lead us down that path.
Oh, man. I district manager for Abercrombie & Fitch. I had just gotten married a year prior to. We just had a child.
Awesome.
My son, Easton.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So he is 13 now, huh?
He just turned 14 in August, yep. And it's crazy to think that I have a 14-year-old. Yeah. I read a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, man. Seems kind of crazy. We went down to Mexico and took a little honeymoon trip a year later. And I came back and I was like, babe, I think I'm going to try something different. And I had a buddy who was bugging me just to interview with this guy. Man, you'd be great at this. You'd be great at this. Just try it. So I came back, had the interview. And I think the interview went really good. And I came back, and my wife was like, well, what's it about? What's the job about? And I'm like, I have no idea. It's about some electricity. But I think this guy's going to be a good mentor for me. So I'd like to try it. And she was like, whatever. I believe in you. I trust you. My wife has probably been the biggest rock in my life. Supported me through.
You want to shout out your wife?
Shout out to my babe, Steve Boucher. She's she is literally everything.
Yeah.
There isn't anything incredible. None of this.
That's what's up, man.
That is what's up.
She sounds like an awesome lady.
Yeah. She's real. As good as it gets, right there.
Yeah.
And she never batted an eye. She never flinched. We had little one, babies. And what I was doing, trying to establish myself, because it was, a place where I came from. It was like the Marine Corps. So you're only as good as your last clothes. And what the hell do you have now? And what have you done? And man, it was going into this marketplace where it was pretty fresh. 2007, sure, there was the first people that came out there and just stealing and robbing and doing whatever, but the market had actually opened up to where people were like, oh, okay, cool. There's an LOA. Oh, that allows me to pull usage. Okay, cool. And can I get a bill copy? And, you're learning all these crazy techniques and stuff like that. And we started training, and I was like, all right, well, I'm getting beat up. And I feel like the internet was kind of big then. It was just kind of coming out. I was like, man, you can find all these answers. And so I started doing trainings on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and took an office that was, I think they were in McAllen, and some small little office in Houston off of Timmons or whatever.
Yeah.
Turned it into 20 million the first month, and then 25, and then it was like, can you do it again in Corpus? And had a great right-hand man at the time, shipped him down to Corpus, and he started building up that, and then within a year it was, national leader, vice president of sales, and boom, boom, boom. And I took a bunch of structure from Abercrombie & Fitch of things that we had to do. It's a multi-billion-dollar corporation, right? When you think about what they're doing, right? And, and how do you have each store the same experience? So I have each office the same experience. How do
Right.
I make sure that like everyone is trained the same way, knows the same stuff, knows the same answers? And so we started writing this book. You know, it was called the Book of Transformations because it was like transferring people's lives, right?
Yeah.
So wrote that with the help of a couple buddies, and man, shit. 14 offices later, 3 different states. I mean, we were doing 1.3 billion kilowatts, man, annually.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's a ton of freaking money, man. It
1.3 terawatt hours annually. That's a big number, man.
Crazy.
That is
It was crazy. So it was, you know, it was fun, like I said. And then I think, like anything, you know, good things come to an end, and you get a second opportunity, a second act, if you will.
The second act.
And I was like, how do I make this act different, right?
Yeah.
And there's a life balance, you know,
Yeah.
and it's really surfing.
Oh yeah.
It's these waves, right? It's never
Yeah,
constant.
yeah.
The one constant is change, and but there's better ways of dealing with it, you know.
Right.
And I'd been living out of a suitcase for 5.5, 6 years, and some of the health things that were going on with me and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You're pouring into something, giving it all you got, and money changes a lot of people too.
That does happen.
So that kind of ended that. But in the midst of that, I mean, there was I was given an opportunity to where I had direct access to some incredible people, an incredible team, and we were able to influence and assist and help a ton of people make a ton of money, whether it was a first-time mom in Laredo or McAllen who, you know, had been at home raising kids for 20 years and we're passing her a $20,000 paycheck, and I was like,
That's awesome.
streaming tears, like, oh my God, how do we do this? And I'm like, you can do it again, actually. You can do this. You can do this next month. You know, like it doesn't have to end.
Yeah.
You're not going to get any worse. You're only going to get better.
Right.
And so then we did the same thing. Yeah, I broke off to Third Coast Energy and got into Massachusetts, got into New Hampshire, and was traveling quite a bit. And then I decided to bring things back to Texas. So
Yeah.
Texas is a beautiful place.
It is a beautiful
Why
place.
be anywhere else?
I completely agree. We're very big on staying in the ERCOT market until we actually absolutely conquer it.
Yeah, I think there's some things happening. You know, you hear about, Illinois and, PJM. Yeah, you just got to be fully committed. If you're going to do it, you got to do it. And you got to go all out. But, the industry here in Texas, I mean, it's huge.
Yeah, it
It
never quits
continues to
over here.
grow. It never quit. It's Texas.
Yeah,
It's
for
Texas.
sure. So I heard you say, by the way, through all that all of a sudden it was exploding, and you learned from Abercrombie that you take the same experience and replicate it. So I've seen myself firsthand. There's a lot of trial and error to figure out what that process and what that formula looks like. How and when did you get to that aha moment where it was like, this is it, this is the structure? And what did it take to get to that point? What was like the secret sauce that made it really work?
Man, you know what? It's crazy. A lot of persistence.
Yeah.
When people say they're going to laugh at you and then they'll like clap for you and then they'll believe in you. It's totally like that. Like, I think it was something that I knew. You got $1 billion company that's spending tons of money doing stuff. So there was like a certain structure and it's successful. Like, think about like Abercrombie. Like, you were managing like billions of dollars through some college grads that was their first time job that they're getting paid basically nothing, but the clothes are flying out, right?
Right.
So when I came, I was like, all right, cool. There needs to be some structure. And for me, and I think for most salespeople, we're a fucking mess. I mean, honestly, if you look in all of our trunks, you're going to find shit all over the place, right? The front might be all put together, but structure, organization is something I think is probably hard for a lot of people, especially when you're playing the game, when you're like Michael Jordan, you're in the game. It's hard to see all the peripheral and take care of all that. So like you're just here focused. And so for me, it was like, all right, cool. Well, how do I do this? And it was at a point to where it was like being responsible for more people. And when you're responsible for more people, your discipline has to start to tighten up. And you got to start living and acting and doing as you're saying, or it doesn't work, right? And people see right through it. And so there was like just like my date, like I'd wake up at 5, and when I went from 5, I went to the gym, and shit, I didn't even have a gym. Like I had to close to get a gym based through production. So everything was production for me. It's like, man, I'm tired of driving. Can I fly? All right, cool, fly. Well, what do I have to close to fly?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like all these like thresholds, which ended up being great discipline for me, and great, like, you earn your stripes, right? And so then I think that's the thing, is like earning your stripes. But the aha moment was just like, I can rob these qualities and characteristics, and I can apply it right here, because there's a need for a structure and like a regular daily discipline. And so it was putting some of that stuff together, where just like, and then it started working, and then it's like, oh, you could turn this into a machine essentially.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, how hard can you drive this thing?
Yeah.
Well, you can drive it pretty hard. You got some people that are there supporting all the pieces and doing all that, and you're going to stumble, and the door's going to fall off, the wheel's going to fall off, but like you pull over, you pit stop, you put it on, and you get a little bit wiser, you get a little bit smarter about it. And you start getting some momentum, and then once you start getting that momentum, then it's just flowing.
Yeah.
And then it's just like you're operating in like this ether of self-actualization, where like the answers are coming to you. You don't even really know some of the stuff that you're even like, you haven't studied, you haven't done any of it, but like you see it. Like it's clear at that point. You're like, well, this is just the next progression. This is the next step. And that's when it's really fun, right? Because it's almost effortless.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, which is the complete opposite of everything that you know, which is like, it's almost like The Rock, right? He's always like, I'm the hardest worker in the room. Well, like mine was like success by default.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just like, I was out there willing to grind. Like I remember kissing my wife. She'd make me two cold Sammys in a brown bag, and she'd give me a couple water bottles of jugs, and it was off in my car. And I kissed her, and that was like 7:30 in the morning, and I would come home at like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And she's just like, hey, you have a good day. And I was like, I've been getting kicked in the face all day long, but it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
I'm going to close one of these deals.
Yeah.
Somehow I remember making my first $7,000 paycheck, and she bought me these brown and a pair of black of these Eco shoes. They were like these like Nike had just bought into Eco.
Oh, yeah.
They had like these little airbags in it, but they were like nice, and I was wearing like these suit mark pants that looked like they were probably $150. They were like $35.
Yeah.
But it's like fake it till you make it kind of shit.
Right.
But I think you just try initially. You try, and then it starts working. You start picking some momentum, and you start attaching pieces to it.
Yeah. Build and repair the plane as it's flying, right?
Yeah. That's what they say. Like from A to B, you're really on like direct course 2% of the time. The rest is all adjustments.
Oh
right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like that thought process of taking discipline in your daily life and saying, how can I make the process of sales the same thing? It's just a what do I need to do at what times?
Yeah.
Just breaking it down. That's
right.
cool.
Yeah. And then like someone told me that you just got to be I'm gonna say it, a slave to good habits. Like you just have to like be like, just change to just, I gotta do this. There's not another option. And then if you can measure it, you can improve it.
Yeah.
Well, if 40 doors a day isn't working, well, I can go to 50 doors.
Yeah.
And then maybe it's just like my follow-up. My follow-up is terrible.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't even realize, and then it's like videotaping your presentations and then looking at it and going, oh man, why did I say that? Or man, why does my voice change? Or man, why do I back off? How come I'm not mirroring what they're doing? If he's leaning forward, I should be leaning forward. You start getting to like, and then you start reading books, and then it's like this game, right? Yeah. It's fun. Sales is it's a great game.
And that self-improvement, clearly you took your own experience and put that in 350 pages. So out of those 350 pages, by the way, what would you say the most important thing that you would teach these guys and girls is? Like what's the thing that if they can't grasp that factor, they're just going to be absolute trash? I mean, it doesn't have to be one line.
No. But there wasn't. It wasn't even my line. It was just a good line. It was like an acronym, right? It was just transformed.
Okay.
And each letter kind of went through these 11 steps. And if you get someone to see and at least borrow your belief that you could get through these 11 steps, it was cool. The rest of the book you could freaking toss up and throw away.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just good stuff. I think, like I said, like you can't help someone unless they want to be helped.
Right.
And to want to be helped, you have to be in a pretty vulnerable spot.
Yeah, yeah.
And if someone's asking for it, then it truly is like clay. And the crazy thing is they hold all the potential. It's there to begin with.
Yeah.
Right. Just they're in their own damn way.
Yeah.
And like I said, you just start slowly chipping away, and it's just one little belief after another little belief until you start seeing them walking around the office, and you're like, who's that guy?
Yeah,
Who's that guy? He's about to close the biggest deal in history. This is amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
And that part is really cool.
Yeah, it's interesting how people just become someone completely different, and you'll even see it in their pupils sometimes, where it's just like a completely lack of fear, confidence in yourself.
Yeah, you get even like the aura of the colors that people are emitting. Like, I mean, there was times where my wife was like, "You're crazy. I just see all kinds of stuff around you."
Yeah.
And
so your wife can see yours then? Okay.
Yeah, she's like I said, she's an incredible woman.
That's
she's
awesome.
done all kinds of stuff, yoga, but like she's gone through her own journey, her own quest and all that. And but it's cool to have that encouragement and be able to bounce these ideas and thoughts and all that stuff. She holds her own to anyone. But
that's cool. I asked that specifically because I was reading a book about how I don't know if it's left brain or right brain. Some people can kind of visually, when they're in the moment, kind of see that aura radiating, and some of us can, and some of us can't.
Yeah, so I mean, I can get really crazy on you here.
Hey, we could always cut it out.
So there's a woman. She's down in Sugar Land. Her name is Deepa Somani. She is incredible. She has basically. You have a midbrain, right? In your midbrain, and ever since as we were cavemen, right, and we were running around, and we inherently knew that there was danger around the corner, and we could sense that the saber-toothed tiger was right above us, and so we'd just throw this spear and we'd kill it. Right. We felt it. We could even essentially we could see it. Yeah. Without having to see it. Right. Once we become farmers and gatherers, and we start dulling these senses, and the Industrial Revolution, it's like we're sitting in these chairs and these desks, and when you stop exercising a muscle, it gets weak, right? Yeah. My children had the fortune of working with this woman. She's, like I said, she's absolutely incredible. She awakens it, right? The younger you do this, the better it is for you. My wife and I got to where we could see some colors and we could go, cool, boom, boom, boom. I'll tell you this here in a second. But my kids got to the point to where, look at just the first day, come into their class, and they're blindfolded, and they got this neoprene, 1/4 of an inch thick wetsuit. Oh, wow, okay. Just darkness.
Yeah, the
absolute darkness. And she had these Uno cards. Okay. She was like, what color is this? Well, actually, it started with just colors, just the red, yellow, blue, green, and he'd smell it. He'd put it to his ear and he'd tap it. And he'd be like, "What's red?" And we were like, "What the heck is going on here? What are you doing?" Yeah. And she did it again. Well, we go back the next day, and then now it's Uno cards, and he'd be like, 7 blue.
Yeah, that's
wild.
I'm
like, what? So we're on our way to Whole Foods, and I'm like, "Put the thing on again." So he puts the thing on again. And I'm just pulling stuff out of my wife's console. So it's like a brush. Yeah. I'm like, what am I holding? He's like, it's mom's hairbrush. And she's like, it's my mom's scrunchie. And I'm like, what? Yeah. So we go back for the second weekend. My daughter is a very good artist. My son is not so much an artist. He's the math and science. This kid is one of the most amazing brains I've ever seen. Yeah. She's got this coloring book. And she's got a sea of colors. Yeah. And a coloring book, and she's like, "Easton, will you tell your parents what is in front of you?" And he's like, "Well, it's he's blindfolded." Yeah. He's like, "It's a frog on a lily pad in a pond, and there's a little boy right here and a farmer." And I'm like crying. I'm like, "How? What is this?" You know? And she's like, "Cool. Will you go ahead and color will you color this for me? And he's like, yeah, sure. So
No
he's
way.
like this, feeling the crayons, and picks up the green, and he starts coloring. And
How old was he?
he was probably 7.
That's wild.
He's coloring better blindfolded than he does with his eyes open.
Oh my God.
He's coloring this whole thing. By the next weekend, when she's done with him,
Yeah.
he's reading blindfolded with his finger, and he's
Oh
reading
my
books.
God,
So
that's insanity.
she can unlock and untap, and a lot of this stuff is used like military and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like East
Well,
world
I mean-
kind of things. But it's man,
Dude, it's I think a lot of this stuff is kind of just like labeled as woo woo crazy, right? And that's just because I believe so much of the world we still haven't been able to measure.
oh yeah,
So much, man. But you know, the thing is, there's been so many other, you know, well-known organizations that have experienced this SEAL team, right?
Yeah,
When they're going in there, it's like they are moving without even communicating verbally with each other in situations where they're just like one
fluid
thing, man. It's
freaking
crazy.
force.
And it's crazy you're talking about. We won't go too deep in the. We'll come back. But sometimes I would be meditating in my room,
Yeah,
and if usually I meditate with my eyes open
right.
because I very much like focus on one point. I'm like letting go of negative emotions.
Yeah,
I'm getting
you
clear.
have
But if I do it with my eyes closed, I at times can like visualize my whole room, and I think it's just because I remember it.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, like, it's so vivid sometimes.
Yeah,
It's kind of insane. It's like I have my eyes open looking at the room.
yeah.
It's crazy, man.
You can see. I'm reading this great book right now. It's called Being Your Higher Self, and it's. I'm gonna get it to you on break. I'll get you the author
Gotcha.
because it has
I
been.
like how you said break, as if we're going to do a marathon over
I
here.
don't know. I feel like we're gonna talk forever.
Hey, we'll keep it going for as long as we can.
But it's been an incredible book, very impactful, and it's all about like vibration and frequency and learning to not control. It's actually break away from everything and just be your higher self. And how do you do that? And there's meditations for each chapter. And so much of it is just visualization and being able. So I'm like very visual. Seen this other woman who's incredible. She's out in Sugar Land as well. Her name's Aaliyah. It was the most psychedelic trip.
Why is Sugar Land so big on this?
I have no idea. It's where I am, and we found some
Yeah,
people that are into
got
this
you.
thing. And but I mean, she helped transform a whole bunch of stuff in my life.
That's what's up.
And she never said a word. She never said a word. I walked in. She shook my hand once. She told my wife, "What happened to your husband?
Oh,
I need to talk to him." And I was like, "Who's this woman?" She's like, "She's really cool. You'd enjoy talking to her."
yeah, for
So
sure.
she sets up this meeting, and I go in there, and I shook her hand and say hello, and she tells me to lay down on this table, and I went on the most like hallucinogenic voyage of like. There was no time and space, and it was images and happenings from childhood through adulthood that I was dealing, and I could feel things happening to like organs and warm and tingling and sensation. I know it sounds absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I walked out of there, and I can't tell you how much relationships and inner peace it brought. It was a crazy experience.
Dude, the mind is powerful, man. There's no doubt about it. I know that I was in therapy one time, and I was going over my past, and I had a childhood trauma.
Right.
In no way trying to call out my mom. It was just I was a kid. I didn't understand why she was leaving. I was at my grandparents' house, so that's something that was stuck in there. And she was able to, through this, I forget what it's called, but it's like the vibration and the lights or whatever. I was able to imagine that, and it was like I remember, it was almost like I was right there again.
Yeah.
And like I remember it changed the whole scenario. It changed to where my grandpa was now telling me, who's passed away, that it's okay. That he's always with me.
Yeah.
Like it's just like your brain can create these insane images, you know, and it's crazy, but it sounds crazy, But the fact of the matter is, this thing is insanely powerful right
Insanely powerful.
Insanely powerful.
It is a cure-all. Yeah, we don't want to get too crazy into like some quantum physics and quantum dimensions and all kinds of.
All right, I'll pull it back.
No. I mean, but it's great. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, there is truly, it's these stories, right? These stories we tell, and you talk about, man, what got you excited about when you first got interested in like training and developing people is that we start defining and telling ourselves who we are by these experiences that we have, and until you start telling yourself a new story.
Yeah,
you can't grow to be something different. And I think some people just need that push and that encouragement. And did I ever think that I was going to be an energy broker? And sure as shit, didn't think I was going to be an energy broker for 15, 14 years now that it's been, right? It's been an incredible ride. And we're passing around. I mean, it's electricity. You can't see it. You can't touch it. You can't feel it. You can try. You're going to get buzzed for sure,
for real.
But we're shuffling paperwork in a crazy industry.
Shuffling paperwork and changing lives.
Yeah, that's it. What do you do? I had such a hard time answering that too, because it's like you go out and people are like, well, what do you do for work? And I'm like, what I really want to say is, I'm changing lives, shuffling paperwork, whatever, But you're like, I'm an energy broker. It's like, all right, cool. What does that do? Well, we shop commercial electricity pricing for commercial businesses,
Yeah.
And now I'm like, all right, now I do that. Now I jumped into solar 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's been a new big thing for me too, which has been kind of fun, a new challenge, right? Every 7 years I go through some type of let's fix something else. So that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, I mean, well, in short, we're just always finding the best fit for the customer, per the market, per them, per every other factor that revolves around them. You just got to look at it that way. But yeah, man, because I think what you were doing was you weren't just an energy broker then and now, because you got to the leadership position and obviously owning the company now, where you're changing lives. And I think that's very important. I don't think there's any reason to have to go into anything more than say you're changing lives, man.
I think that's probably what I'm going to say for now. What do you do? I change lives.
Change lives.
Someone's going to be like, this guy's a dick.
Yeah, I change lives of the people that work for me, and I change lives for the customers that work with them.
Yeah, right?
That's sounding good.
That's a new tagline.
There you go. Oh, man. Back to the original story you said, where it just started flowing, man. I know we talked a lot about the flow state and getting to the next level. And I think that's really important. Maybe you can expand on that. My view is that you get to a certain point where you no longer worry about the result, and you just worry about, okay, cool, what happened? What can I do better? What went wrong? And you start only looking at the present. I think that's a big thing in business.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely. I think that's all we have.
Yeah,
I think the past. What is the past?
Yeah,
you made some decisions, but even that probably spins off into some other direction, and the future is unknown and certain. I think being present, is what it's all about, and that's what matters. Figuring out whatever it is, whatever solution is, whether it's business or people.
I think a lot of business owners in general, or anyone, are worrying too much about what's going to happen next, not what they can control right now.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, that's the crazy thing about the market. If we knew what the market was going to do, we'd be doing this podcast, but we'd probably be on the beach and maybe have a daiquiri or something. We'd be like, we already figured it out, but we haven't. And then that's the thing. It's a living, breathing organism that continues to change. And can you do it yourself? You can absolutely do it yourself. Are there some new tools out there in the marketplace that are happening to where customers are getting better information, more real-time information, and can make a better educated decision on? Yes. Is it what they should be doing? I don't necessarily agree with that either. I think what makes you a great restaurateur or a great boutique hotel owner or a great manufacturing of widgets is that's what you do.
Yeah.
And, if I can alleviate some of that stress and I can go to protect you,
why not?
Let me do it.
Yeah.
Why do you want to worry about that? Why do you want that headache? Why there's so many owners, I call it getting too cute, right? It's like we see all these dips in the markets, but for our overall book of business, we're saving most people 22% on average every single time. And it doesn't matter when in the market they're switching to us. Like, we have a pretty good idea, and some of it is intuition, but man, after 14 years, I've seen ups and downs and all that stuff. And you're like, all right, cool. Well, I know this is where it's coming around. Or, hey, it's time to lock in, right? You got 4 cents. You need to take this to the max. You need to do the 5 years. Well, I don't know if prices are going to get lower. And I'm like, pricing going to get lower? Like, when deregulation happened, it was like 2.93 cents. Like, what else do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get any cheaper than this. So you have some customers that just take it for a year. And then, you're signing them up and they're back at, 4, 5 cents, and they've gone up 40%,
Yeah.
I got other customers that totally implicitly just trust and say, Steve, you tell me what we doing.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the path that we're doing, and it's great. It makes it a lot of fun, right? Because it's just like cool, especially, like I said, most of the time it works out. Every once in a while,
that's
some
true.
things you can't control, but
yeah. So what? So now, obviously, the book that you're working with now through Third Coast, it's a completely different ball game, being at the top, of course. But I know we talked about so much, but what was the reasoning that you were like in 2015? You're like, you know what? I need a different path. What did you see about the market where you worked, or what have you?
Yeah, there was a bunch of things. I think one, there were some things I was seeing at the top that I didn't agree with. I didn't like. There was a lot of smoke and mirrors and perception. And perception sells. I mean, who doesn't want to see fancy cars? Who doesn't want to see the fancy suits? It's easy to buy into.
Yeah.
I wrestle with that sometimes because that's never been me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to, like, you want to come with me and make some money, that's cool, and you're not going to have to see all that stuff. But does it make it really easy to buy into? Yeah, absolutely. And I think some of that was that. Some of it was just the relationships that just started to change, and I just didn't think that, they could save it. And ultimately, they thought differently as well. I think what I wanted to bring to Third Coast was some transparency to the marketplace. I had been involved with an organization where we were doing a lot of things, but like I said, there's more information out there for the customer. And I was just being embarrassed. I'm like, this isn't who I am. This isn't what I want. And we need to change and we need to develop. And when you're talking like that to partners in management and they're not listening to you and you're blue in the face, it gets to a point to where you're like, well, whatever, I'll just go do this on my own. And so that's what feels good is I put my head down at night and I was like, man, we adhere to this moral compass that we have that we think is a fair price, a fair piece of the business, that for what we are doing and the advice that we're giving and how much we're shopping and the integrity that goes behind it, this is a good value. And it was just different than what they were doing. So
got you. Yeah, a lot. And it's that part that you're talking about where the flashiness that draws in, as much as that at the surface, I think is definitely, superficial, fake, or what have you, materialistic, whatever someone wants to say. I do think that is, I would have to say that's probably important to get someone in the door that has the potential. Step one is flashing, right?
I think absolutely. I think it makes it a hell of a lot easier. And listen, it's important to see your money.
Yeah.
Like, I don't regret any of the cars I owned. I don't regret any of the suits I bought. I don't regret, like, that was all super informative that helped me. And now I just realize, man, in hindsight, when I look back at it, like, I couldn't have done that ride without it. I don't think it wouldn't have been that electric. It wouldn't have been that big of a scale.
Yeah.
But now, now I'm older, and I'm like, I got kids, and now I'm like, all right, cool. I want like 20 acres of land, and I want to be in the country. You know what I mean? I want a little peace and quiet. And so my priorities have probably changed as well to where I could care less about the Ferrari, but I'd rather have 20 acres sitting on like the Blanco River.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to be fly fishing in the morning with a cup of coffee and just be like, I just got the fish. That's this. This is what I want. So that changes, but I think, there is. And like I said, you got to see the fruits. So I'm not saying that it's all bad. It's not all bad. I just feel as though when you're manipulating some situations, that's when I had a hard time with it. Yeah. And when I felt like I was being manipulated with what I was doing and what I was capable of doing and all that stuff, that's when it hurt.
Yeah, I could see that. How do you think then? How do you get someone to grow and self-develop who's stuck in the material world, or I say stuck in the material world. We're all stuck in the material world right now, but who's focused on the material world? How do you get them to change and find a better self for them without using manipulative tactics?
No, I think, man, I'm a huge believer. I still got one now. It's just on Pinterest, right? It's not a cardboard cutout anymore on a window.
Yeah.
But there's still a vision board, and I think when you're looking for whether it be a car or whether it's all. I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. Are you a Tony Robbins fan?
Yeah, I am.
I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, Unleash the Power Within.
David Metzler, Unleash the Power Within. I got an opportunity to see him for the weekend.
That's
this
awesome.
guy is freaking electric. Like,
I believe it, man.
I call it a concert because it truly was a concert. Like, this guy's energy was.
He would be a messiah in the old days.
Yeah,
right?
Totally. This guy,
dude, bigger than life.
He is bigger than life.
Yeah.
So I think within that is you put out these, and it could be more books, it could be more time with family, but the one thing that it is that we have to buy this time, and so in the beginning, the only thing you have for collateral, the only thing that you have to give up because you don't have the car you want, you don't live in the house you want, you don't have the relationship you want, you don't have the time with your kids that you want, is time.
Yeah.
So I think when you start getting people to realize they've got to pay a price. There's always a price to be paid.
Yeah.
Right? And you got to pay that price. And I think once you start paying that price, you get rewarded.
Yeah.
And you get to see maybe the car comes first, maybe the house comes first, maybe depending on your priorities, who knows? Maybe the car makes you feel better, and the car gets you there, that gets you to the house, that gets you to the relationship you want, to the kids you want. I don't know. Everyone has to go through whatever that track is or whatever, but I think it's the discipline that you find that my formula isn't working, and you got to be able to say your formula's fucked up, dude. Like, you keep doing the wrong thing. You get to 0.9, and you self-sabotage, man, every fucking time. You're afraid of your own fucking greatness for whatever reason. Some bender, some whatever, like, you just drop the ball, crap the pants, whatever. Like, and I think that it's in that discovery, it's in that fire that you start refining who you are and the discipline that it takes to those things that you do. You end up earning them.
Yeah.
And it feels good. And then because you worked for them so hard, you don't let go of them.
Yeah.
The Rock is always talking about, man, these two hands, my calloused hands.
Yeah.
Right? Like, these are like his anchoring things. Like, he's always like, your anchors, like what holds you firm in your convictions?
Yeah.
Right. Who are you? What are you that you say you are? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what does it mean? How long are you willing to hold that? And then just tweaking that, like 2 degrees.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins talks about 2 degrees. Tiger Woods, he was like the best golfer in the world, and then he switched golfers, and they were like, change your degree by like your plane to 2 degrees, and then he went in and won like all 4 majors in a row, and they were like, who does that?
Yeah.
You switched your swing. But Tony is like, man, you only switch it 2 degrees, but that 2 degrees makes all the difference in the world. That's your fruits.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think in that fire, that's where you got to be real with people. I don't think you can sugarcoat it. I think there's a tactful way of doing it to where you're not bashing someone down, right? It's encouraging. It's got to be, someone's being vulnerable, you gotta walk with them, right?
Yeah. So you could still have them have those materialistic goals. You just got to make sure.
For sure, it's fun. It's the same thing. I mean, I'm still doing the same stuff. I want something, I put a freaking KWH target on it. It's because it's just like, it just feels better. It's like, I can buy it and I don't have to feel bad because I earned it.
Yeah,
exactly.
What I mean?
Whatever it is, whether it's a family vacation, whether it's a new fishing pool, whether it's that new Ford Bronco that's coming out that I think is pretty cool.
I really like how they envision it. I heard 2 things that I really think are very, very, very interesting there. You obviously said that it's just was 2 inches that changed. I think a lot of people, what they don't understand, especially if they're putting in the work, they're sometimes so close and they don't even know it. Just a little bit longer and they're there. And then the other thing I heard where you said that after that step 9 or whatever, people will self-sabotage because they're fearful of their greatness. This is something I've heard for a while. I feel like I've had it myself, where I think some people, especially people who have come from a place of low confidence, non-sales or non-entrepreneur, and then all of a sudden they're successful, they feel like they don't deserve it.
Yeah, I think I think we all go through this. You know? I think, even myself, my wife and I were having a conversation last weekend about it, and she was like, "Well, you know, you were meant to do more than this, you know." And I was like, "Well, what's up? Like, what are you talking about?" And she's just like, "I just think that you're afraid of your own greatness." And I'm like, and it's kind of jacked me up for the last week because I'm like, all right, cool. Like, what's that next step? What's that next step? What else do I want to do? And I think,
man, you found an absolute gem, by the way.
She's good.
Yeah,
she's real good. My family is incredible. My daughter, I mean, I was telling you about my son, so she does the same thing. And because she had the belief that my son did it, she did it in the same amount of time, just because of the belief, right?
Yeah.
But I think you're right. It's there is a fear, and then there is a fear that once you obtain that and you're there, that it can slip out of your hands. You know, I think that's the scary part.
Fear of loss.
The fear of loss, and I think that's a silly thing, right? It's why would you ever lose it? You just continue to get better.
Yeah, exactly. And also, why are you fearing losing anything? Everything's transient. It's all going to go away.
Abundance is there, man. Ask the universe what you want, and it's some stuff crazy in my life just recently that happened, and I'm reading this book about being your higher self, and it says, man, electronical things can start to break down in your life. And I'm like, electronical things in my life? My cell phone's been glitching, or I'm typing, and then it's like a back feed and fills in, and then I'm a big celery juice guy in the morning. Okay. So I do like a stock of celery juice. Sure. Do that, 15 minutes, no eat, no drink, no nothing. It's great for you. It's great.
Intermittent fasting in the beginning, then?
Yeah, it's just good stuff. And there's all kinds of good things for you from celery. You can't mix it with anything else or you mess it up, says my wife.
Okay.
So it's just a celery juice.
She's a pariah, so let's listen to her.
Listen to her.
Yeah.
She's the boss. And then all of a sudden, apparently it goes from that to my juicer, and my juicer starts messing up on me, and like it's just not behaving correctly. And then all of a sudden my refrigerator starts acting up, and this water filter busts. And in the midst of this, though, we've been talking about moving, we've been talking about fixing up the house, we've been talking about getting all kinds of new stuff, and man, it's just crazy, this whole chain of events from that to this thing breaking, and how you just manifest some different things in your life. And it was crazy. It was a real life example just 2 weeks ago. I didn't put it together until just the other day, and I was like, oh man, here it is working. But you put these things out there into the universe, right? Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between real or fake, and so it's attracting. It's trying to find you the fastest way possible. And
well, that's why you do these positive affirmations, and that's why I think that's something that it sounds once again like bullshit. But the thing is, if you're telling your brain something, it's gonna say, okay, cool. This guy keeps telling me that I'm a millionaire, but it doesn't look like we're a millionaire. So clearly we got to find a path to get to that point as quick as possible, because if he's saying it, we keep saying it,
Keep saying, and then eventually you're going to find a way to do that, right? If you're trying to fix a $10,000 problem, sure, you'll find out with 10,000 answer. Well, what if you just did a $1 million problem, and would you find the $1 million answer? Probably.
Yeah, of course.
You had mentioned something about right before step 9, there was something else I don't think I answered.
Oh, I said how important it was to understand for a lot of people that with the two degrees, there's sometimes you can be working fucking I don't know 90 days. Sorry, that's some short amount of time. Let's say you're working 390 days on your dream, and that's only a year. That's not even that much.
It's not even that much.
And you're like, damn, I haven't gotten where I want to get. You may be 3 days away.
Yeah, exactly.
From where you need to be. You just feels like
chills.
forever. Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So you talk about like entrepreneurship, you talk about venturing off, being on your own, and sure, is it scary? You're in this little rowboat in the middle of the ocean, but I think that's one thing that if you could give any advice to anybody is just one more round.
One more round.
One more round.
Get back in there.
Get just one more time. You're already exhausted.
Yeah.
You're already tired. You're already missing your family. You're already fucking hungry. You probably need a shower. But you just go one more door, one more round. I'm like, greatness is usually just behind that next door.
But it's so crazy how many times I've been in the field where I pushed myself after exhaustion there. I swear to God, I came up with absolute gold.
Yo, every time.
Yeah.
It's just like, just someone's laughing at you. Just like, is he going to do it this time?
Yeah.
Is he gonna, and he's going to, oh, there you go. You passed.
Yeah.
Level 100. Done. It's like,
yeah.
But then that's when you form that belief.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't matter what anyone tells you. It doesn't matter how hard they shake you, because you know with so much conviction that, like, I don't know what you've done, but I know every time I'm getting hammered in my face and I go one more door, I always win.
Yeah.
And then no one can shake you. And then it's like, well, where do you get that confidence? It's like, dude, you know how many times I've been told no and how many times I've been punched in the face? And it's like, but I know it always pays off. And that's, you get to that discipline and you start refining that discipline and you start working on that equation and you start fine tuning and you're like, oh man, now I've got a quicker, better formula.
Yeah.
And all it required was a little bit more discipline, which ultimately is just you refining yourself in the fire, which makes you a better human being, which is making you live your like higher best self. Yeah. And everything gets better.
Yeah.
Everything is better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Refining in the fire. That's for sure. Because I really think our ego is created, and the person that's developed through childhood is created.
Yeah.
And that we're broken. Negative self-talk. We have experiences that make us think a certain way about ourselves or a certain way about the world. Mm-hmm. And it's like we start out at innocence, as a child, right? Innocence, and we go down to bullshit.
Just purity, yeah.
Yeah, just, oh, God, purity gets pulled down. Yeah. And then we can either just languish there until we die and maybe keep going down into misery. Yeah. Or... the alternative is to actually get back to that level of innocence where everything's fun. Everything's curious.
You got to grow again.
Yeah. Right? It's like, I really feel like, I got through these tough times, and now I feel like the next step is where I start to look at everything as an opportunity, everything as a positive challenge. Yeah. Where, I think Tony Robbins says this, you can't be fearful when you're grateful.
No, it's like nearly impossible. I don't think those two can live within the same. It's not impossible. So,
if you're fearful when you're out in the field or what have you, then you just turn it around and be like, you know what, I'm grateful that I have this car to get me out here. Yeah. I'm grateful that it's only 3:00, so I could bang 25 more doors.
Shit, there was times where I'm like, I'm thankful I got $20 in my wallet for gas money to get me home, because I am way down in freaking Seabrook or whatever. I'm like, I don't know if I can get back. Yeah. But I think, that attitude of gratitude is, man, that's just something you should wake up in the morning and when your feet hit the ground, just be like, man, I'm thankful for another day. I'm thankful that I got today to try to get it right and try to make it a little bit better than yesterday. Yeah, and that's it's huge, man.
I remember I was just taking a shower the other day, and I have these crazy thoughts sometimes. I was looking at my arm. I was like, man, what happened if I lost this arm? Oof. And then I was so thankful for it. But it was crazy because I was in a really present moment. I was like, well, shit. I guess the first thing, I definitely asked some people for help while I was learning. I definitely have to learn. I definitely have to learn to do everything with my left hand. And I like, all of a sudden, I'm in the shower planning out my whole armless life.
When my arm's gone, you're put on your clothes, arm behind your back just to figure it out. Shit.
But it's crazy because no matter what happens, like, as terrible as things can be, and I know I'm coming from definitely a place of privilege. I have a life that's amazing. Absolutely. But like, I mean, now it's just crazy. We're like, there's so many stupid things we probably used to complain about. Just absolute insanity.
Yeah, things that we thought were like real problems that are really now no problem at all. I mean, it's like, are you serious? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah. Now, granted, I can't in any way talk for anyone else's life at all. I can only talk for mine.
Yeah, that's it, right? I only know my own experiences.
But man, for my own experience, dude, it's really nice to think about. My future looks like a lot of opportunity, regardless of bad or good.
Right. I think this year, I just got tired of people talking about, the new norm or COVID. And it's funny because we can get into these little memes that are traveling around the cyberspace. But, you start saying these things out loud and you start like putting this into your life. And it's like, man, I really had to detach. Like the new iPhone's coming out and I'm like downsizing. I'm getting the mini because it's like, I don't want more time on my phone.
No, man.
You know what I mean? And I'm looking back at like 2020. I'm like, man, this has been one hell of a crazy year, but there's been so many good things that have come out of this where I'm like, I'm grateful that it happened, man. I'm grateful that like there is I feel like a new sense of humanity when like everyone's like, oh man, this and the politics and all this stuff and all that. And I'm like, man, at least people are talking about it now, and at least people are getting out. And man, there's more people voting, whatever side. Like I don't even care. Like I mean, I do care, but like whatever, you're exercising a right that you had that you never thought about before. Now finally something has moved you, and man, well, you didn't like your job before. Now you figured out how you can be at home and you can do it, and you can make just as much money, if not more money. And I think we got to take a step back and be like, man, this is it's a little crazy, but I think it was the final straw. There's a part of me where I miss coming in to a place because I am all about human interaction. I'm all about connection. I'm all about working closely with other people, and I miss that. Yeah. So as a choice, I would like to, but I've been at home for a while now. I got rid of my office, and everyone's independent contractors and doing whatever. So, and they enjoyed that freedom. They wanted that. So because they wanted that, I got rid of the office, and it's like, all right, cool, whatever. Yeah. But there's a part of me that truly misses because I think there is a camaraderie and a team sense. I've been a competitive like athlete, for a really long time, and so. That's my jam. Like I want to be connected. You know what I mean? I love but this year has been interesting. I had to take a shift just probably 2 months ago where I'm like, hey man, we got to start telling a new story about 2020 and what it's really done for us, and let's start pulling out. And I think 3 other words is you got to train yourself to think of and see the positive, and. You gotta be able to pull 3 positives out of every situation. And I think once you start doing that, you start realizing
3 positives out of every.
And I'm talking about like it could be shit. You could be flying down the freeway, blowing a tire. What are 3 positive situations? Well, I didn't get back into traffic and get hit by a car. I didn't die. It's just a tire, and I can buy a new one. Yeah. And I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna see my kids tonight. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think once you start training yourself to see those positives.
And I have a cool story.
And I got a badass story.
Yeah.
Because who's flying 75 blown out tires and lives to tell about it, right? I mean, this is kind of crazy, right? So probably a lot of people. It's not that crazy.
Oh, hopefully, yeah.
But my whole point is once you start, your brain's like a muscle. You start training it to recognize. Then you start seeing the positives before you even see the negatives, and that becomes a whole lot easier when you're trying to be an entrepreneur, trying to venture off on your own, and believing in it. And seeing it like, oh man, you know what? I got to expect that I'm going to get hit in the chin a couple times. Yeah. If it was easy, everyone would go start their own business. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that just, taking 3 positives out of every situation.
I think that's really good. Great advice. Yeah, it's really, and to kind of bring it all back to trying to bring the best out of people. And have them find their biggest potential. That's probably one of the best things you can teach them, is look at everything in lenses of gratitude.
Lenses of gratitude.
Lenses of gratitude, because it's funny because if you're angry, you see a world full of hate. Yeah. And you see people that are slighting you, and you see things not going your way. If you're sad, you see a world for depression and angst and what have you, and of loss and grief. But man, when you're happy, man, you see everything's positive. Everything. So it's like you can paint depending on how your perspective is.
Absolutely.
And that's why, like, I think probably it's so important that these guys and girls that you're bringing in, they had a perspective of success and you made them believe that they could be at this, go shoulder and shoulder with the great Steve Boucher.
I don't know about that. I think, but I mean, it's lenses and the belief, and I think perception's reality, right? So either you paint the perception for someone, or they paint it themselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to be so loud and so freaking crazy that it's the only damn thing they can hear.
Yeah, you gotta yell over the voice in their head.
Yeah.
So
I think for sure.
So would it be fair to say that you were able to bring people to the next level because you were not only the loudest man in the room, but the loudest man in their head?
I've been known to be pretty loud in the room. This is for sure. For sure, I've been loud. And there's no crying in KWH, man. There's no fucking crying. And if there is a fault, and maybe I've pissed some people off, and if they are, and you're out there, I'm sorry and I apologize. Actually, I'm not even sorry and I don't apologize. That's I rescind it because that's what it was. And I think
3 days to rescind.
When you truly, that's it. Small, you were actually large commercial. So sorry, that's some broker,
sorry, you're over 50 kW.
Some broker humor.
Yeah.
I probably err in the fact that I care too much, and sometimes I probably cross that line. But I cross that line because I fucking care.
Yeah.
You've come to me. You've expressed these things this change in your life.
Yeah.
You've asked for it, and so then it's my responsibility.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it and you don't want to be around, then that's cool too. And I hate to see and I've lost people. It's not for everybody. And that's But I can't help someone that doesn't want to be helped, and someone wanted some help, and then maybe that's all that I was introduced in their life for. Maybe it was just that 6 month period, maybe it was just that 3 month period. And it's like,
no idea.
That's cool for me. The mentor that I had, it was 7.5 years. Right, the last year and a half was a little shaky, but whatever. And then I was out, and then I was like, cool. And then it was on my own. And now, I'm searching and constantly trying to find. I got jacked up today because I'm listening to David Metzler.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's big on Instagram. He's like a metaphysicist, and he's got a sports agency, but he's all about vibration and
that's
humans.
Where
and
I know
people.
him from.
Super cool, dude. And he's like, you need to have 3 mentors, and I'm like, fuck, I have to go find some more people.
One that I just picked up. Last week. 2, 3. Shout out to Tim.
I don't know Tim, but I love him.
Yeah,
that dude's helping you. It's great, right?
Yeah.
And I think you had said, I'm going to go back to you too. And I think I don't care what level you're at. Because we talked about, man, if you're going to die or you continue to grow. And I think asking for help is probably the single most thing that is the most underutilized, easiest 3 words that anyone can say. I need help.
Shoot, man.
Because people want to help. I want to help.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that people want to help, because even in sales, one of the most disarming ways to talk to a gatekeeper is to ask them to help you.
All the time.
Bring them on your team, man.
Yeah, for sure. Can you help me?
Yeah, so people,
I think this is the right name, but I'm not sure.
I'm not really sure. It's just a blank paper.
I can't see it, but Jim is who you want to talk to.
Yeah. Perfect. I had a cell phone number starting with 1 number at the beginning and 1 number at the end.
832 or 713? 713, perfect.
That's
456.
But guys, don't do that. But people want to help. But I think the problem is that there's, especially even people that are, they don't even have a dime to their name, are too prideful to ask for it.
Yeah, man, put it down. What? You're not going anywhere. You're not going to be able to fix yourself.
Yeah.
No one got anywhere. You can't build anything great by yourself.
Yeah, that's a true story.
You got 2 incredible partners, right?
Correct.
Brad, freaking dude, hands down one of the most talented freaking people I've ever seen. Dude, this kid one day went out. It was probably one of those I call them crucial conversations.
Okay.
It was kind of like, Brad, you're too good for this. Get your shit together. And he was just like, Okay, fine. You want to see what I got? I'll show you what I got. And went out there and literally closed 16 contracts in one day.
That's insane.
Now, I felt really bad because the pregnant woman that was shadowing him was like, I'm completely exhausted and I don't think I can do this. This requires a lot of hustle. But he came back, man. You should have seen the smile on his face.
How has he never told me that story?
I have no idea.
That's great.
Literally 16 contracts in one day is the most I've ever seen in my whole entire life.
He was
came
like,
back.
you and your child coming for a ride today.
Boom. Yeah. And she was just trying to hold up, and he was feeding her along the way. She was cool. They were high-fiving and smiling. She came back. She's like, I'm freaking exhausted.
Yeah.
And Brad, there was a smile on his face. And I was like, this is it. But I mean, he was, man, he's always been one of those people.
Yeah.
What's the best look like? All right, cool. I think
find
I
the way
got
to
it.
win. Winners find a way to win.
That's it. You know?
Yeah.
Had the pleasure of meeting Mindy not too long ago. That was
absolutely amazing.
And she's got her own track record that's badass. So
yeah.
that's the cool thing is finding people that you can play with and build something with, right? Because if it's just you or it's just me, I'm only going to be able to get so far.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, maybe it could be enough, but then it's just like, all right, cool. What do you want to do? Like how much noise you want to make? Mm-hmm. And a lot. I want to make a lot.
That's always the answer. A lot.
I think just a little bit more.
Yeah. I believe 21 Savage wrote a whole song about that.
Did he? I need to check it out.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm certain he did.
Yes, he did. A lot. It's literally called a lot. Well, that's fucking awesome, man. Yeah, dude, asking for help, sadly, I think not a lot of people do it. And I try to tell my guys and girls that, like, I may not answer right away because I may be super busy, but, no question is...
there's no silly question.
There's no silly question. I will if you want to go over, what deregulation means, again, shit, we'll talk about it.
We'll do it. Yeah. Or we'll do it. We'll do
yeah.
it. Yeah. Now I'm trying to get to the point to where it's just like a library of all your information. You can watch the videos or you can watch.
Trainio is huge for us, man.
Training, man. Knowledge breeds confidence, man.
Yeah.
So the more confident you are in what you're talking about, how you feel, and that's repetition is the mother of success.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, man, I think this is a good place to stop.
Let's do it.
I appreciate you coming on. I think those who want to know about the best coast, Third Coast, can find you online, 3coastenergy.com.
That's it, man.
And Third Coast Energy on Facebook.
We are on Facebook.
I don't know if there's an Instagram. Is there an Instagram?
There is. I think we do some cool sharing thing now.
Okay, got you.
It's there. Same stuff.
It's there.
Third Coast Energy.
So, of course, Steve Boucher, owner, manager, badass. I appreciate you coming on, man. Do you have any last words of advice for someone who's a struggling salesman or someone who's a woman who wants to get into this business or anything? What would you say?
Believe in yourself, because if you're not going to do it, someone else is going to go right behind you and do it. So why not you?
Yeah, that's true.
Why not you?
Yeah.
Right?
Why not you? I like that.
Why
not me? Well, as always, guys, thanks for coming on to Texas Tea. I know we got a little wild in the middle there, so I hope you guys enjoyed that one. As always, you can find us, Texas Tea, on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, soon to be TikTok, hopefully.
Sweet.
Send any comments down below in the YouTube video. Steve has all the answers if you have all the questions.
I'd like to. I'll find it.
Yeah, for sure. And let us know what you like. If you can't contact us through there, we have that Facebook page. You can message us. We also take smoke signals, snail mail, whatever. Yeah, with the towel and all that. But glad to have you guys on. Once again, I'm Roger D with Texas Tea, and you're here to hear from the best of Texas.
Thanks so much, man.
Thank you, man.